Hello, YouTube. Today we've got a special appearance today from Greasy Anthony, as I like to call myself in this state. I mean, look at that hair. Ridiculous. Believe it or not, new hairstyle incoming. I gotta go to the barber soon, but we're gonna be doing a new style. I'm putting it on YouTube so that I actually have to go and do it. That's the hard thing. No more comb over. Is that what this is? Like a sideways comb over? I don't know. I don't know anything about hair other than it grows on my head, and I really don't want it to fall off. So let's get right into it today. So today we've got Genesis chapter 18, 19, and 20. Uh, that's all we got for today. The three visitors. Sorry, I'm going to adjust this. Again, this is the classic dilemma. I'm going to just be adjusting my camera until I get like a good angle we like. M1. It's gonna be in the frame now. This video is no longer applicable for YouTube kids. So sorry about that, YouTube. Um, Three visitors. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees of Mamre. While he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day, Abraham looked up and saw three men standing nearby. When he saw them, he hurried from the entrance of his tent to meet them and bowed low to the ground. He said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat so you can be refreshed and then go on your way, now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." So Abraham hurried into his tent to tell Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get 3 seahs from our finest flour." I believe a C is a measurement. So it's about 36 pounds according to the NIV little notes segment right there. So 3 times 36, give or take 100 pounds. And bake some bread. He then ran to the herd and he selected a choice, tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk of the calf that he had prepared and set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then one of them said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself as she thought, "After I am worn out and my Lord is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did laugh." Abraham pleads for Sodom. When the men got up to leave, they looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all of the nations of the earth will be blessed through him, for I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him." Then the Lord said, "The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know." The men turned away and went toward Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth, do right?" And the Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Then Abraham spoke up again. Now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes, what is the number of the righteous? Is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5 people? If I find 40 there, he said, I will not destroy it. Once again, he spoke to him. What if only 40 are found there? Or if I find 45 there, he said, sorry. What if there are 40? Abraham said. Abraham's a real haggler, which is, I'm in the industry. I get it. You got to do this type of stuff. He said, for the sake of 40, I will not do it. May the Lord not be angry, but let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there? The Lord answered, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Abraham said, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, what if only 20 can be found there? He said, for the sake of 20, I will not destroy it. And he said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak once more. What if only 10 can be found there? He answered, for the sake of the 10, I will not destroy it. When the Lord had finished speaking to Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. I don't know if this is like a translation thing, um, but the Lord gets like less and less like full of grandeur every time Abraham talks him down, and I find it funny. Like, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. And at the very end, where it's like 10, it's like, for the sake of 10, I won't destroy it, man. It's so great. I love the Bible. I love Abraham. He's a pretty funny guy. Like, there's a lot of comedy in the Bible that gets overlooked for the whole, like, salvation message, which is more important, granted. But now that I'm a little past that point, oh my goodness, this book is so funny. It's so funny. Sometimes you just get those great moments. Um, Now that we've gotten our funny chapter out of the way, let's Sodom and Gomorrah. This is a hot button issue. This won't get me in trouble with anybody. Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. The two angels arrived at Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of the city. When he saw them, he got up to meet them and bowed down with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, please turn aside to your servant's house. You can wash your feet and spend the night, and then go on your way early in the morning. No, they answered, we will spend the night in the city square. But he insisted so strongly that they go with him, and entered his house. He prepared a meal for them, baking bread without yeast, and they ate. Before they had gone to bed, all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded the house. They called to Lot, where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out so that we can have sex with them. Lot went outside to meet them and shut the door behind him and said, no, my friends, do not do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. You don't do anything to these men, but you don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof. Get out of the way, they replied. This fellow came here as a foreigner, and now he wants to play the judge. We'll treat you worse than them. They kept bringing pressure on Lot and moved forward to break down the door, but the men inside reached out and pulled Lot back into the house and shut the door. Then they struck the men who were at the door of the house, young and old with blindness, so that they could not find the door. The 2 men said to Lot, do you have anyone else here, sons or daughters, or anyone else in the city who belongs to you? Get them out of here, because we are going to destroy this place. The outcry of the Lord against its people is so great that he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and spoke to his son-in-laws, who were pledged to marry his daughters. He said, hurry, get out of this place, because the Lord is about to destroy the city. But his sons-in-laws thought he was joking. With the coming dawn, the angels urged Lot and said, hurry, take your wife and 2 daughters who are here, or you will be swept away when the city is punished. When he hesitated, the men grasped his hands and the hands of his wife and 2 daughters and led them safely out of the city. for the Lord was merciful to them. As soon as he had brought them out, one of them said, "Flee for your lives. Do not look back, and don't stop anywhere in the plain. Flee to the mountains, or you will be swept away." But Lot said to them, "No, my lords, please, your servant has found favor in your eyes, and you have shown great kindness to me in sparing my life. But I can't flee to the mountains. This disaster will overtake me, and I will die. Look, here is a town near enough to run to, and it is small. Let me flee to it. It is very small, isn't it? Then my life will be spared." And they said to him, "Very well, I will grant you this request too. I will not overthrow the town you speak of, but flee there quickly, because I cannot do anything until you reach to it." This city is why the town was called Zoar. By the time Lot had reached Zoar, the sun had risen over the land, and the Lord rained down burning sulfur onto Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plan, destroying all those living in the cities and also the vegetation in the land. But Lot's wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Early the next morning, Abraham got up and returned to the place where he had stood before the Lord. He looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, toward all the land of the plains, and he saw dense smoke rising from the land, like smoke from a furnace. So then God destroyed the cities of the plain. He remembered Abraham, and he brought Lot out of the catastrophe that overthrew the city where Lot had lived. Lot and his daughters. Dude, this chapter is brutal. Oh, it's. I want to talk about this. We've got another chapter after this one, but I want to talk about this one specifically. Um, Lot and his two daughters left Zoar and stayed in the mountain, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his two. Are you serious, Lot? I just noticed this for the first time. He's begging, "Don't let me go to the mountains." He immediately goes to the mountains because he's scared to be in Zoar. Lot. Goofy guy. Lot and his two daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. He and his two daughters lived in a cave. One day, the older daughter said to the younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let's give our father, let's give our father to drink wine, get our father to drink wine, and then sleep with him, and preserve our family line through our father." That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day the older daughter said to the younger, "Last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him so that we can preserve our family line through our father." So they got their father to drink the wine that night also. The younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son she named Moab. He is the father of the Moabites today. The younger daughter had a son whom she named Ben Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites today. Oh, dude. All right, last chapter, and then we'll talk about 19. Abraham and Abimelech. Now Abraham had moved to the new region of Negev and lived between Kadesh and Shur. For when he stayed in Gerar, and when Abraham said to his wife Sarah, "She is my sister," then Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent for Sarah and took her. But God came to Abimelech in a dream one night and said to him, "You are as good as dead because of the woman you have taken. She is a married woman." Now Abimelech had not gone near her, so he said, "Lord, will you destroy an innocent nation? Did he not say to me, 'She is my sister,' and didn't she also say, 'He is my brother'? I have done this with a clear conscience and clean hands." And God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this with a clear conscience, so I have kept you from sinning against me. That is why I did not let you touch her. Now return to the man's wife. Now return the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you, and you will live. But if you do not return to her, you will be sure that all who belong to you will die." Early the next morning, Abimelech summoned all of his officials, and he told them what had happened. They were very much afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham in and said, "What have you done to us? How have I wronged you that you have brought such great guilt upon me and my kingdom? You have done things to me that should never be done." And Abimelech said to Abraham, "What is your reason for doing this?" Then Abraham replied, "I said to myself, there is surely no fear of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she really is my sister, the daughter of my father, though not of my mother, and she became my wife. And when God had me wander from my father's household, I said to her, 'This is how you show you loved me. Everywhere you go, you say of me, he is my brother.' Then Abimelech brought sheep and cattle, male and female slaves, to give to Abraham. Then he returned Sarah his wife to him, and Abimelech said, 'My land is before you. Live wherever you like.' To Sarah he said, 'I am giving your brother 1,000 shekels of silver. This is to cover the offense against you before all who are with you. You are completely vindicated.' And Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech, his wife, and his female slaves so they could have children again. For the Lord had kept all the women in Abimelech's household for conceiving because of Abraham's wife Sarah." We got to talk about chapter 19. Oh my goodness. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, it's probably one of the most referenced Genesis events. And it's brutal, man. Just the Abraham pleading, and then like you spend this whole chapter of Abraham pleading, like surely you're thinking to yourself, this place isn't so bad. There's at least 10 good. There weren't even 10 good and righteous people there. And I don't think Lot counted towards that number. As a kid, I always thought, Lot wasn't included, or Lot was included. But I don't think he was, and I think there's a lot to be said about the fact that Lot's gut reaction wasn't outrage at what was happening. It was to offer his own daughters to this mob, and that the fact that that culture had become so normal in his mind that I don't know if I'm allowed to say this word on YouTube, but I really don't care. The fact that rape was so normal there for him, and it was so normal in his daughters too. It was normalized for them to such a point where when they were living in the caves, they did that unspeakable thing to their father, to their own father. It's really just it's a tragic tale because it's so much like the world today. And I don't mean that in like the really like edgy kind of way. I mean that in the evil so rapidly becomes normalized in our world, no matter what that is. And it's very tragic to see, and it's a shame. The sulfur is still there today. You can look that up. There's a massive well of burnt sulfur around where we suspect Sodom and Gomorrah are, and scientists have no explanation for it. The best explanation they have so far is that it's meteorite, and that you hate to see it. You really hate to see it. It's the human condition, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful chance to explore your teachings. I've mentioned this a lot, but I am so blessed. We are also blessed to live in an age where your words to us are as accessible as paper or a free app on my phone. Anything like that, it's everywhere today, Lord, and it's such a blessing. Thank you so much for your mercy, your grace, and your justice, Lord. Thank you for not abiding evil. And thank you for sending your Son so that he could take our evil away from us, Lord. And in your mighty name I pray. Amen. Thank you so much for listening through this one. I know it's this is a bit heavier. This is a bit of a heavier verse, or a bit of a heavier chapter. Go ahead and leave some questions and comments down below. I always appreciate those. I read those on like my lunch break and stuff. Super awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. And good night.